needs to focus. Cool. Now we're ready. One of the best ways to level up your cinematography is by using cinema glass. And we're living in a world with tons of affordable options for brands like Cine, Irix, Laowa, and DZO. And let's be honest, investing in a lens set isn't necessarily cheap. So with so many options to choose from, which one do you pick? I've used a ton of different kind of lenses, from photography lenses to budget glass to even high-end cinema lenses. And one of the main things I noticed between photography lenses and budget cinema lenses is that there's not a huge difference in character. That is until I tried the DZO Arles. When I put these lenses in my camera for the first time, I was amazed of how the picture looked directly at a camera. In a way, it's DZO solidifying themselves as the king of budget cinema lenses. I didn't want this review to be super technical, but rather coming from the stance of someone who's trying out these lenses for the first time and someone who's maybe looking to get into their first set of cinema lenses. That being said though, we need to get some of the technical points out of the way. The Arles are currently available as a full set, and each lens comes in at about $2,150 each. And some of the selling points is that each lens comes in an aperture of t1.4. They all have a front diameter of 95 millimeters, which is great for people who are using matte boxes. They have a 270 degrees focus throw rotation, and they all come with cinema standard gearing, which is great for follow focus systems. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, we can actually get into the characteristics of the lens. They have a warmth and softness to them that are beautiful, which gives it a vintage vibe while remaining tack sharp. Other budget lenses tend to be too clinical and don't have that characteristics that I'm looking for when picking out a set of lenses. When I'm looking for a set of lenses, I typically look for something with a little bit of texture and character to it, so that not only sets my footage apart from everybody else, but gives it the cinematic quality that I'm looking for. Skin tones on these lenses look amazing, with the color and depth looking better than any other lens I've used. I did a quick test with these lenses in the parking lot after my shoot, and I just wanted to see how it compared to a Sony G Master lens, and one of the first things that jumped out to me was sharpness and skin tones. The coating on these lenses makes skin look so rich and saturated, and is one of the best images I've seen from a budget cinema lens. The bokeh is painterly wide open at t1.4, and it also has a cat eye effect until you stop down to about t2.8. I also did a super quick test comparing the DZO Arles 35mm compared to the Sony G Master 35mm compared to the DZO Vespid 35mm. And like I said, you can immediately see the difference between the sharpness and color of the Arles compared to the G Masters or the Vespids. However, if you already own the DZO Vespids or the Catazooms, these lenses will match up very nicely with them. Not only are these lenses wicked sharp and have beautiful character to them, but I think that these lenses will last you your entire career if you take care of them. And by that, I mean these lenses cover a large format sensor, which means that if you were to upgrade cameras in the future, you have these lenses covered. And it wouldn't be fair of me to review these lenses without talking about the few downsides of them. The first one, which is completely subjective, is that I don't like the flares. The flares that you do get are very little purple and blue orbs, which are really hard to get unless you're pointing the lens directly into the sun. And I'm the type of guy that likes a lot of flare qualities in my lenses, which isn't that big of a deal because if I did want to use something with a lot of flares, I'd use something like a vintage lens or an anamorphic lens. These lenses come in about 3.5 pounds each, which if you're carrying a lot of lenses with you in a day, it starts to add up a lot of weight. Though the plus side to this is if you're shooting handheld, you actually weigh down your rig, which gives you smoother shots. I had a couple of people ask about the Arles, so I asked you guys on Instagram if you had any questions, so I just wanted to answer a couple of them and see if it helps. How much do they differ from the previous line of DZO primes? Well, aside from the price, these differ a lot in the sharpness of them, the fall off, and especially the color. And I think that these Arles lenses actually beat the Vespids, but pair very nicely with those and the Catazooms. I had a lot of people ask about the flares on these lenses, and in my opinion, I don't really like the flares that much. I think the little blue and purple orbs that you get with it isn't that pleasing. The flares are a little bit too controlled, but I know that DZO is working on a set of lenses that have different coating on them that have beautiful orange flares. Is the focus throw too much for solo ops? I don't think the focus throw is too much. It's definitely a lot if you're hand holding it, but if you're using a follow focus, it should be okay. Why is the 21 more expensive than the 25? Is it better in any way? I don't think it's better in any way. I think it's just because the lens is wider and has more elements in it, so that's probably my best guess on why it is more expensive. So the final takeaways here, if you're looking to invest in a set of cinema lenses, I would definitely suggest looking at the DZO Arles lenses. They're a sweet spot in the world of budget cinema lenses because they're not too cheap and they're not too expensive and will last you a lifetime. A little bit over $2,000 a lens is a small price to pay for the color accuracy, the sharpness, and the characteristics of the cinema lens. And that's all I got for today. Peace out.